Hello, it's Sensual Strong, aka Kiddo Sensual. I am happy to be back on my podcast channel. I've been off of it for a little while, but being back always give me a refreshing feeling to speak positivity, to speak the truth, and to speak some type of knowledge onto this channel that can hopefully change people's lives and leave a positive impact. But with all being said, this podcast episode is about being a better person. And typically, it takes a most people believe that being a better person means winning, getting what we want, first place, proving people wrong, showing people that we're the man or we're the woman, we're in charge, we're the ones running the place. And really, sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes being the better person or being a better person is doing good and doing the best you can, even when you're losing, even when things aren't going the way you want, even when you are not progressing in something. You've been trying your absolute best to be the winner. Sometimes being better means letting it go and trying a different route and trying a different step that you haven't tried yet that you may not want to actually go to. Prime example, I got fired this week from a job that was paying me $21 an hour, and I'm 23. That's a lot of money, especially for the state of Indiana. And not only did I get fired, I got into this with somebody that was close to me, and on the same day, both of those things happened. The third thing happened is that I ordered a phone, and it didn't come when it was supposed to come because my shipper lost the phone with other mail, and I had to call the phone company back and ordered a second phone. Though it has not showed up yet because I did it yesterday, it's supposed to take up to 5 business days to get a phone that I'm already supposed to have. And most people would go off and lose their minds and start acting out and curse people out and literally start punching the wall, going crazy and taking their anger out on anyone that upsets them from that point on. But you know what I've done instead of doing all of those things that I may used to do? Because if it was the old me, it was me, the me that was less mature, that was less better than what I am now, that the me that was weaker, less positive, more naive, less intelligent. Yeah, I would have went off on anyone that made me mad. I would have cursed the people out that lost my freaking phone. I would have cursed my manager out that fired me, that lied in my face and just told me I wasn't doing good enough when just a couple weeks ago he was complimenting everything that I was doing that required me to follow procedures with that job. First, I'm going to go into detail how I became a better person, and I'm going to go into more details about how you could be a better person if you apply these things into your life. And this is just my opinion. You don't have to follow anything that I'm going to say. 1. When I got fired and my manager told me that, hey, no, this isn't going to work out, he didn't even warn me. He just pulled me in the office at the end of my shift after working over 10 hours and told me that he no longer wants me there and that it was a pleasure working with me. He told me that I wasn't improving the way he wants me to and that my improvement only lasted for 1 single week, at tops 2 weeks, where it's supposed to be a 30-day evaluation 3 times, which means 30 times 3 is 90 days. So it's supposed to be a 90-day and total evaluation. And every 30 days within that 90 days, I'm supposed to get some type of evaluation, seeing the improvement that I was making within each of those 30 days. And the manager was supposed to go into detail about what he's seen that was better, what he noticed that I was doing that shown that I want to be there more and more and more. And I got fired on my 75th day, so I didn't even make it past my 90 days. And when he pulled me in, he told me, hey, I noticed that your improvement after the first evaluation we had only lasted for 1 week, at tops 2 weeks. And it seems like to me that you wasn't trying hard enough. You wasn't really listening all the way when I was telling you certain steps, and I don't like repeating myself. And this is what he was telling me. And he told me that he doesn't trust me as an employee because there was a mistake that was made, and he went and asked me if I made that mistake, and I told him I didn't because I don't think I made that one mistake. And the mistake was minor. It wasn't like a big major mistake. Someone pressed a button on a machine. It's a manufacturing job. And it was either me and the person I was working with, or it could be somebody else. And they pressed a button that made the machine move a lot slower. And he instantly believed that it was me, it sounded like, because he went and asked me and said, "Hey, did you press this button?" And I told him no. And he just gave me a look as if I was lying to him. So he told me that, and that event of me pressing that machine, that happened a couple weeks prior to this second evaluation. And he just gave me a look as if I was lying to him, and I had no reason to. So unfortunately, not making that mistake, but him thinking that I made that mistake, and it could have been me. We were so busy, I could have accidentally bumped that machine and not even notice it. But me possibly making that mistake in his eyes, and me not doing as good as my trainer, which was my partner, and he's been there for 4 years while I've only been there for 75 days. Me not doing as good as him, and that one mistake just cut the chase, pulled the last straw out the bucket for me. And not to mention, he also mentioned my age several times. He kept telling me, "You're 23, you're young, you're 23, you're this, you're 23, you'll heal, you're 23. It's not like you actually need this job." And he doesn't really know that, but because of my age and my other assets, because I know I talked to my manager, he's 27, and I told him some things about me, about my modeling, about my other jobs, and about me being in college and whatnot. In his mind, I'm 23, I got other positive things going on in my life, I don't need this job. But little does he know, it did impact me, because $21 an hour, that's a lot, and that's the most I ever got paid for any job in my whole life. But it's okay. Instead of me being mad, going off on him, losing my shit, I said, "You know what? I want to thank you for having this talk with me. Really, it was a pleasant experience working here for as long as I did. I've learned a lot. If I ever get a job paying this much again, I'll know to be more mindful and more critical and more, what's the word I'm looking for? More attentive towards my position, where I am fully and 100% aware of everything that I do." Thank you for this talk. It really helped me grow. And thank you for actually letting me know that I wasn't doing quite well enough. Because all of this is going to do nothing but make me try harder in my next job. And this experience, even though it's not a positive one, it's just going to build me, because I know how to move and I know how to continue to fight, even when I hear bad news that I don't necessarily agree with. Because some of the things he said, I didn't agree with. Like, if I made one mistake, or if I wasn't doing good as someone else that been there for 4 years while I haven't been there for 3 months, all these things I really don't believe someone should just get fired for without any warning, just straight out the back. But some people think differently, and I'm not going to fight and argue and impress my opinion on him. Instead, I'm going to follow whatever advice he gave me. I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to walk out the door, and I'm not even going to hold him up for too much longer. And I'm just going to be happy that I experienced this, and that at some point in my life, I made it past $20 an hour at a workplace. Next, with the second experience, I got into an argument with a family member on that same day, regards of me needing a car ride to my job, the job that I didn't get fired from. And it was a job that I've been at for 2 years at this point. And he prefers that I give, a day notice, or 2 days notice, or a week notice. He just wants to know before the last second. And though that is a good idea, I got things going on in my life that I may forget, or hey, it may not be in my mind until that moment happens. And there's been several times where I've helped the same person with other things that he came up with, and most of it regards just borrowing money. And I'm like, hey, you can borrow $15, $20. And there's times that he'll say, hey, I'll pay it back. And he doesn't pay it back when he say he will, but I just let it slide and be like, you know what, it's okay. I don't really need this money right now. I'm not going to press you like super hard to pay me back, even though you didn't pay me back like you say you would at the time you said that you would. But with all being said, he didn't want to take me to work. So, fun fact about me, I don't have a car at the moment. I'm working on that, but I got other bills. I know I'm still in school and whatnot. And because of so many other things going on, I just don't have a car yet. But hopefully by next year of March, at the very latest, I have my own car. So this type of thing won't ever happen again. But I made examples of how I helped this person out with things without really making it where it was huge for me to get help back. I literally just okayed it whenever he needed assistance, and the same person was not really tolerated with helping me, and I needed to go to work, and he knew that. And I don't really know if he was doing anything important because it didn't look like he was doing much at the moment, and he was at home, and he does have a license. And instead of taking me, he told me no, and it got to a point where we got into our argument, and there were some things that was said, and one of the things that he said was I was acting weird because I was requesting money back, and I lashed out on him, and I shouldn't have, but I told him, hey, just pay me back the money that you already owe me that you never paid me. And he tried to prove a point where he paid me, but when it came down to it, when he tried to show me like these pictures, I had paid him, and he was wrong, and he paid me that moment. And after paying me the money because he was wrong, and I proved him that money that he was trying to say that he paid me, it was the other way around. That was a picture of me paying him, the screenshot. He sent the money that he owed me that he never paid back, like he said, and he told me, go on somewhere. And instead of me saying, no, F you, don't talk to me, don't F you, do this, do that, no, go off of a bridge saying something meaner, I said, hey, don't disrespect me. I didn't say anything like, you go somewhere, don't tell me what to do. I just say, hey, don't disrespect me. If I'm not talking to you like that, you don't need to talk to me like that. And sometimes we want to say something meaner back to someone else to prove a form of dominance. But really, that's not proving much. That's actually showing you're stooping down to their level. So if someone disrespects you and says something insultive towards you, sometimes you have to say, you can defend yourself without saying something rude back. Don't disrespect me. Don't talk to me like that. You don't see me saying anything like that to you. These are like prime examples of things you can say that can be very, very, very defensive or dominant even, but it's not like you belittling someone else because they're trying to belittle you. If you get what I'm saying. So I told him don't disrespect me, and it was like he stopped talking for a moment, and it got to the point where I thought about it within time because I got to work. Somebody else dropped me off on that same day. And I left work and I came home and I apologized. And I said, hey, you're a family member of mine. And I hate that we argued over something such as a car ride. So because of this, I wanted to apologize. And I want us to squash this and carry on with our lives and let this go and not let this get in between us or get in between any type of bond, relationship, or companionship we have with each other. And when I did that, instead of coming back saying, hey, you were wrong about what you said earlier, you suck, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to apologize, even though some people wouldn't. and I'm going to let this go and show this person that I love them and that I care about them and that I'd rather have peace with them than holding a grudge or holding some type of negativity inside of my heart and my mind. So after the apology, we shook hands, hugged, we let it go, and we get carried on. And from that day, we been keeping peace. Things been going smooth. Things been going great. So just understand that sometimes kindness and love, well, all the time, kindness and love will always supersede and overstrength cruelty and negativity. Third and lastly, with the phone situation, the phone. This is a funny one. My phone was supposed to be here, my iPhone 13 Pro, which is the newest phone outside of the Pro Max. It was supposed to be here December 8th. And I called several times for days and days trying to figure out where my phone's at and what's going on with my phone. Even when I was at work at my break, I was calling just trying to get an update on my phone because it didn't show up like they said it would. At the time, they said it would show up. Little did I know, they keep making up things like, hey, the phone would be here this day, the phone would be here that day, and the phone got mixed up with a different package. But with this tracking number, we'll track it down. And they gave me the tracking number. So I checked, and I noticed that the status of the phone just never really changed every single day that I checked. So on December 18th, 2 days ago, I called once and for all, and I'm like, hey, I've been waiting a little too long for this phone. It's been almost 2 weeks since it was supposed to be here. And I was wondering if I can cancel the order and just get a new order on my phone without me paying for the order entirely. Little did they know, they told me that the phone was lost. And they're trying to find it, and they have an investigation team trying to figure out where the phone's at. And I'm like, okay, is the phone coming from across seas? Is the phone coming from Canada? And I looked at the website that they told me to look at, and the phone was literally coming from Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, which I believe is only a couple hours away from where I live at. So I was kind of in a bad mood, realizing that they lost such a thing as a iPhone 13 Pro, which is to me a pretty big thing to lose, in a place that was only a state away. Indiana and Kentucky are literally right by each other. Kentucky's the south. And instead of saying, hey, you guys suck, you guys are terrible, you guys are irresponsible, why don't you guys know how to keep up with things? I'm like, what can I do to make the process better? What can I do, or what can we do to request a better phone, not a better phone, but a phone, and make it quicker, make it where I don't have to wait forever and ever for a second phone. And it expedited the phone, UPS. The shipper expedite the shipping date. And it made it where they told me 1 to 5 business days, which should be this week, praying to God that it's actually going to happen. My phone should be shipped off to my house, and I should have it no later than Friday, which is the day before Christmas. And what I'm trying to get you to see is, if I yelled at that customer on the phone and insulted them and cursed them out, they may not be as, what's the word I'm looking for? They may not be as wanting or as connective or as connecting or as desiring to help me, because they'll see that I had a very crappy attitude, and they'll see that I may have anger issues, and they may assume that, hey, if I say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, this guy might lose his mind. It might hurt someone else, and they might try to come after me. And they might try to come to the freaking national phone base to try to take me down. And there's some people that get mad and they'll do some very illogical, crazy, I don't know what you're thinking type of things. And I don't want people to have that impression about me. And I don't want to because I don't know what they're going through. They might have a tough day. They might be going through things at home. And it wouldn't be right for me to go off on them. Because really, one, they're not the shipper. They're just a phone company. They're not the ones who actually delivered the phone. UPS was. And though they talk to UPS in my behalf, sometimes we get the tendency of taking our anger out of people that are around, or the people that we believe that done something wrong, when really they could be completely innocent. Or actually, they could be the ones trying to help us, and because of the situation, it may look like they're the ones that caused the problem, when really it wasn't. So here are the things that I'm going to go along with about being a better person. And by the way, I don't know if you're going to listen to this podcast all the way. I think this is the longest podcast I have ever held on this podcast channel since I've been podcasting for years and years and years. I think this is the longest podcast I ever had. Like, when it comes to time, I don't think I went over 20 minutes on a podcast until now. So yeah, this is the longest podcast I have ever hosted on my podcast channel. But the biggest thing is, if you're listening still, understand, one, cruelty and disrespect sometimes only leads to more cruelty and disrespect. There are some people that would not stop fighting until they get the last word in whatever freaking argument they're in. There are some people that are that stubborn that if they don't get the last word, there go days, months, years with a person, and a feud, a big giant fucking fray will come along with this because they just want to be the last person with the last say. And I hate to say it, sometimes being a better person means to not get the last say. Sometimes being a better person is saying, okay, even if you know the person's being, I'm not going to say, even though you know the person's being wrong, sometimes you just have to let it roll off your back like water, and you have to show them that what they're saying and doing is not going to stop you from doing what you already have planned within your life. Because some people would be mean and deceitful just because they feel like it's going to mentally and emotionally take a toll on you. And there'll just be a certain way because they feel like though it's not going to hurt you now, it's going to get you down the road. And some people are like that. So one thing for sure is sometimes letting things go, even when you don't want to, will lead to ultimate success. A success where peace will come along and it won't be a consistent fight on I'm going to win. I'm going to get the last word. I'm going to get what I want out of my mouth. I'm going to get what I want out of my life. And you're going to suck it. And you're going to take it. And you're going to eat it. And you're going to be unhappy because, hey, at the end of the day, it's me or you. Because there's people like that. But when you don't even assist on continuing to fight with that person, and you just step away and show them, hey, you can have the last word. That doesn't make you better. That just makes you a person, a perfectionist that just wants their way. Because sometimes what we want is not what we need. And when we realize that, things will be better in many ways that we have not even imagined. So secondly, I'm going to go on to the second point, is patience, and control. When you have patience and control over the way you talk, the way you act, the way you think, trust me, a lot more positivity, a lot more light, it's going to come your way. It's going to show that, hey, I am in control of my life. The situations that come in my life aren't in control. I'm in control. The issues that pop up in my face are not going to stop for what I have in my mind or in my heart that I have planned with my life, with my day. Instead, it's going to propel me forward, and it's going to make me even try harder to get to my plans, to get to my goals, to get to my daily resolutions, to be a better person, and to conquer whatever goals I got going on. And conquering a person is really conquering a person is not conquering a goal, in my opinion. Beating someone up isn't really a goal. A goal is to beat the objective up. And the objective shouldn't be to hurt someone else. Instead, it should really just be a way to find peace with that person and water under the bridge. But, some people in society have a tough time seeing it. So that's one thing for sure, and that's the second thing is just control. I'm not gonna let this person's attitude and this person's defiance control what I'm gonna say, how I'm gonna feel today, what I'm gonna do, and what I have going for myself. Because sometimes it's easier saying it than doing it. Trust me, I fell for it plenty of times in my life where I let someone else's rudeness, someone else's words, someone else's attitude control me. And I shouldn't have did that. But now that I'm older, I'm stronger, wiser, and better. I know better to have it less. And I'm not perfect. Hey, it may happen again at some point. But I know it's going to happen way less than what it did before. Third and lastly, and I'm just going to go to 3 main points because I went to three examples of things that have happened within my life this week or this month that was kind of unpleasant, but at the end of the day, it made me a better person because I know how to handle these situations better, hands-on, because those 3 situations are just been very few times where I handle those 3 situations that I named off the way I did. There's been times that I actually handled it before like that, but honestly, if there's any time in my life that I'm proud of myself to handling situations that I didn't like the way I did, it was definitely this time, this month, in the last couple of days or couple of weeks. Thirdly and lastly is finding an alternative. Plan A it's not always promised, And when you have alternatives and you have backups and when you have other assets and other people that you can connect to, it'll make you a better person. Sometimes we have to let go of people in our lives, or let go of behaviors and things that we're addicted to in our lives to better ourselves. Sometimes we have to let go of that friend that been smoking weed with us for 5 years. Sometimes we have to let go. And sometimes you don't even need to let go. Sometimes you could try to talk to them and get them to change. But if you don't get them to change, and you can't really change them, honestly. You can convince them and influence them to be different, but you can't actually change the person. Sometimes a person's not willing to change their ways. You have to step away from them. And sometimes it has to be permanent. Or for a very long time. Next, with the third step, I'm not done with it. But after that, sometimes we just gotta really learn how to follow our dreams with community. And this is still a third topic. This is still the third topic. Community is with alternative. Sometimes we have to find an alternative community, an alternative group of friends and people that we hang out with that we see that may be a better fit towards the goals we want. If that means to let go of a church that you no longer really feel like is preaching the word of God in a way that you can really grasp, you may have to do that. Sometimes it means, hey, this person, my best friend, that's been my friend for decades, who I've been to college with, who I've had sleepovers with, who I've been knowing all my life, But it's at a point in life where I just don't recognize this person anymore because of the habits they're having and the influences that they're having on me that aren't good. But I'm so tied with this person, I can't let them go. There may be a point in life where you might need to let them go, even though yourself and your mind is telling you that you can't. Because really, you can. With help, with persistence, and with other friends, other alternatives, other replacements that are positive in your life, it can happen. Sometimes option 2 is better than option 1. The thing that we had secondly in our mind that we did not originally want to do or to say or to go after is what we need. Sometimes that second option, that plan 2, the thing that we did not set on forth, that was supposed to be our primary prototype, is what we need, is what we have to grow. Rather it's meeting a stranger and getting close to them, rather it's talking to, sometimes we talk to certain parents and one parent may be better than the other parent to talk to because we're just so used to them and we always hear what we want to hear from that parent. Maybe it's a better decision to talk to the other parent that we don't talk to all the time, that we don't reach to all the time, because they may be the ones we need. One moment. One moment. So sometimes we have to do that. I'm on the phone.
All right, Zuko. Come out when you're done, please.
Okay. And sometimes it's just going after the alternatives in life. Sorry about the interruption. Someone needed me. And doing the things we don't want to do, that we have to do. That was the second option in our minds. That was the second thing we wanted to do because reality, we wanted what we believed that was best for us, but it wasn't best for us all along. Things change. And the things that we think that aren't best for us, that are second best for us, may be what's best for us at this point. So it's just doing the stuff we don't want to do that would make us better in life and overall. Carrying on with that second choice that in the back of our minds we prayed that we would never have to resort to is what you may have to resort to continue to grow towards your dreams. And I know it's way easier saying it than doing it. But sometimes you have to do what you don't want to do in order to get what you really desire and to get where you really need to get to in life. So I don't know who's going to hear this or who's listening, but I pray that this podcast episode really, really, really helped you and it really left a positive impact. Because I'm the podcaster. And hearing my voice on this podcast channel and hearing what's coming out of my mind and my soul is going to help me. Even though I already experienced it, I know later down the line when I hear this message again, scrolling past the episodes that I hosted, it's definitely going to help me at some point. And the way it helps me, I hope it helps you too. Thank you for listening.